I'm Keta, and we are currently in our Hyderabad collective, a collective based in Bodukonda. The Bodukonda collective is located within a semi-arid region, which means that the land is pretty dry. Our forest system isn't very lush and green, but it's more of a scrub forest. And our soil is quite sandy, and the major difficulty we have is with assuring enough water to support the families that will stay here, to support our irrigation system, to support all the plant life that we are slowly building. There are two sources of our water. One is underground water and one is our rainfall, water that we don't control, but we can harvest. Today we're going to look at how water management in terms of harvesting our rainwater is a very important first step that we take in setting up a farm system. In land restoration projects, we need to identify all the different sources of water that we can take the opportunity to harvest and keep and recharge our land with. Now, water is not understood as a single element, but it's understood in relationship with our soil, the geology, what kind of rocks we have, what kind of soil we have. It's understood in relationships with the trees that are existing, that are naturally existing on this landscape. The way we have found the first step of water management on this really large landscape, that is of 100+ acres, is to look at all the large areas that we can collect, slow down water in and help it to infiltrate and recharge our water table. Understanding how much rainfall our region gets is important and helps us understand how to strategize relevant interventions across the landscape. Bodukonda gets about 600 to 650 mm rainfall on an average. It changes with every year. Some years it's an alternating heavy rainfall and low rainfall cycle, and which is not much. So 650 mm is not a lot of water, and this water is coming in only during the monsoon. So we can say that this is very seasonal water that we have to harvest as much as possible. So our need is to stop water anywhere and everywhere possible. We are currently standing on the topmost part of our land, the ridge. As you can see, this is the highest point of our land, and it goes down till there, the lake, which is our lowest point of our land. Now, this is the stretch that we have to do all our water harvesting interventions. We have to make use of the slopes that we have, the existing stream beds that we have, the collection points, to be able to slow down the flow of water through this landscape, through this stretch. To be able to identify the right points of water harvesting interventions, we use tools like Google Earth, contour maps, and scouting by foot all across this landscape to see which areas are good for collecting the water, for stopping the water. What kind of areas give us the most catchment area that we can make use of and harvest that water. As we plan these water harvesting structures, they go hand in hand with our planting methods. Now, the rains are very important, not just because they give us water, but they also allow us a time for us to intensively plant all our native species along the stream beds that will support the flow and the slowing down. During this monsoon, we not only build water harvesting structures, but support those structures through tree planting. Trees help slow down the flow of water, and they help stop evaporation. They help take water down, deeper down into the water table, and hence help us recharge the water table.
So what we have here is an example of a very simple water recharge pond. There are many such ponds on our entire landscape. After we observe how the water flows over our landscape, we identify portions where we think water is likely to collect. And as you can see here, there is an entire slope above. All the water from here flows and the recharge pond has been created in the path of the water. When it starts raining, this water stays here for a while. It's allowed to pause, it's allowed to hold, and it's allowed to sink into the ground. This water that sinks into the ground is basically what helps recharge our groundwater table and slowly creeps down the hill underground, supplying water and supporting all of the tree species that are growing downslope. So we're standing in the middle of some stone structures which are known as check dams. This water channel was identified as one of the main seasonal streams on our site during our survey. This seemed to be the most appropriate place to do one of our major water harvesting interventions known as check dams. So a check dam is basically a simple structure made using earth or stone which helps to slow down the flow of water. So during the monsoon, when water flows down this stream, the check dams help to slow down the water by acting as speed breakers. How this helps us is it reduces erosion, it reduces the amount of cutting in that the water stream is doing into the sides of the stream, and this helps retain soil in the higher parts of our land. This soil then, as it collects near the check dams, helps to support vegetation growth, which in turn helps to make the seasonal stream last longer and longer every year. Along with creating these stone structures, we also usually complement that by planting certain water-loving species, tree species on the banks of our stream. As these species grow, they also help support the flow of water, they hold the check dam in place, reduce erosion further, and the entire system starts acting together to become a resilient one. So in our food production zone, we have a series of water harvesting structures known as swales. A swale is basically a trench which has been dug along the contour of a land. The soil which is removed from the trench is then piled onto the side to make what is known as a berm or a bund. So again, when water flows down our slope, it gets caught here in the swale for a little while, is allowed to sink into the ground, and then it slowly continues to go along downslope. As the water moves downslope in a very slow manner, it continues to feed the plants that we have planted on the bund of the swale. So here we have a silk cotton, we have other smaller shrubs that we've planted, some lemongrass. All of these are supported by the water from the swale, and in turn they also help to hold the soil on the bund so that it doesn't get washed away. At the same time, it has other functions as well. It gives us produce. Silk cotton helps us invite birds and other biodiversity to our farm, and this supports the rest of our food growing system in keeping a self-sustaining or a balanced system. So as our tree systems continue to grow and mature, eventually their canopies will help to create a microclimate which helps to further retain water on our land. By shading our land, they are filtering some of the really harsh sunlight that Hyderabad gets, helping the growth of the plants below, and also reducing the evaporation of the water from our soil surface. The roots of the plants also, as they go deeper and deeper, open up the ground by making mini channels in the soil underneath us to help water percolate and penetrate even further. All of these systems slowly, while quite invisible to us, will eventually together work to recharge our lake further and further every year. So we're standing here at the lowest part of our landscape. This is the portion where water from the entire terrain around us flows down and collects. Since we knew the water was going to collect here, we created a lake by digging out the soil and creating this wetland, a lake where water can continue to recharge every year. So the water here in the middle of summer is still pretty evident, and this is showing us that all of the water harvesting earthworks that we've done upslope have been helping us slow down the flow of water and reach here eventually. So this lake is not just a beautiful place to look at, it's also the source of water for all of our irrigation. So we use lake water to water our vegetable plants, our fruit saplings, our other tree saplings. It's also a beautiful place for biodiversity to thrive in. We have so many aquatic birds and animals and plants and insects that make this place their home. With every year, we try to increase the capacity of the lake a little bit so that we're able to continue harvesting more and more water every passing year.